Hi guys, gonna have a quick look at Bitcoin today. Hope everyone's well. Before I go on, this video popped up in my recommended videos. Undisputed Crypto, a new crypto channel from the US. They discuss the fundamental nature of cryptocurrency. Their first video is pretty good actually. They go over quite a few different topics about the manipulation, about Wall Street, about their thoughts over the altcoins over the summer. This is the sort of setup of their video channel, so it's kind of like an interview thing. And I believe at the end they wanted to collaborate with other YouTubers. So if you guys ever want some TA, by all means you can get in touch. It's always nice to mix fundamentals with TA, as you guys will find out next week in next Saturday's webinar. Yeah, definitely a channel to check out, Undisputed Crypto. So I look forward to the next video. But as you can see, a lot of interesting stuff going on in this market. Every day on CNBC, I'm seeing, you know, Thomas Lee, the funny guy. He's always popping on there, shilling X, Y, and Z. So a lot of interesting things are going to happen in 2018. We're essentially setting the groundwork for the future, really, right now. And blockchain really is the future. So once, once this fiat paper starts dwindling away, then everything is going to be run by blockchain within 5 years. So very interesting, but a lot of interesting thoughts discussed in this video about the recent market turmoil, about tech stocks and where the money's going. So highly recommend this video. I'm glad I've subscribed and I've got in early, because a lot of interesting stuff. I do like to keep up to date with the fundamentals, being a purely TA man myself. The other good one is Carter Thomas on coinmastery.com, the man with the greatest wingspan in human history. Gotta love the movement of his hands, but great guy, knows a lot of information. And obviously Crypto Bobby, my good old friend. Anyway, so subscribe to these guys and see what you think. Very interesting. Anyway, let's go into Bitcoin. So there's going to be a futures contract which is going to expire over the next 26th and the 27th. So we're going to be expecting a move down. Now, what I wanted to show you guys was, you know, we keep on going back to this. I wanted to just put some things into perspective, really, as to where we are in the market, because I believe potentially we are, well, I don't believe we're out of the woods yet. This entire market lasted, this entire bear market lasted, you know, approximately 411 days, 409 days. So if I were to use that same kind of picture on here, you're looking at a date of you know, sort of 2000, sort of January 2019 or so. I don't think it will take that long, but I'm just putting it into perspective. So where we are right now is probably here. We're probably here. Now what's interesting is, once again, this this reduction in price is about 69% or so, and that's essentially what we've had from top to bottom right here. A similar sort of thing. Now in the end, the entire price reduction of this entire move was somewhere between well, it's about 85% or so, and if you were to use that on here, 85% would once again take you to this 3,000 number. So for many reasons, I still maintain we're going to go to 3,000. Now I believe what's going to happen over the next 4 weeks or so might be, once again, this is not financial advice in any way, it might be a short-term bull move, but you're trading against the trend, okay? And right now, at this particular moment in time, there's no point going into the altcoins, because you'll be FOMOing in and you're buying at really overbought areas. If anything, wait for a dump in Bitcoin, as is likely to happen over the next few days or so, within 72 hours, and then by all means you can jump into the altcoins. But I don't think we're done in terms of this, you know, quote unquote crash, bear market, end, whatever you want to call it. I don't think that we're done yet. Potentially we're only here. Now, I don't use fractals myself, but this does look very, very similar to what we've had here. It's also lasted a very similar amount of time. We're now 19 weeks in. The entire bear market here lasted 58 weeks. So essentially we're a third of the way in. And a third is about here. And we had this sort of move from... we had this move from 351 all the way down, all the way up to 673. So we did have this, you know, this move, but you know, in the end it just petered out. It found some resistance and then it ended up rolling over again. What I also wanted to show you was, if I can get it up, was the daily RSI. Now, do you see here that we've had our one overbought area, that's done. What we're waiting for is this second overbought area, which is likely to happen over the next 4 weeks or so, and that second overbought area is going to coincide with something like this, so with this move here. So that's what I think we're making now. I think potentially we could go up to this sort of line here, this 11,142 all the way up to 11,500 something. That could be the next overbought area. Then we're going to move back down, then we're going to go back up again to make another high, which, as you can see here, was another lower high, another bull, short-term bull move against the overall trend, and then we're going to have the final selling climax. So if you were to split it up into 3 parts, or what, you know, whatever, right? You know, call that A, call that B, call that C. If it's going to be exactly like it was in 2014, all we've had is part A. We've finished part A, and now we're approaching halfway through B. So over the summer sort of period, it's going to be like it was here. Over the early part of the summer anyway, it's going to be something like this. So, you know, this break of this line, I mean, every man and his dog is waiting for this line to break, and that's not a good thing, right? That is not a good thing at all, because if everyone knows about it, it means it's probably a trap. And I can see something like this playing out. So this is not, I firmly believe this is not a long-term investor's market at the current price. I just don't feel that it is. That time is coming, but it's probably going to be now late summer. I'm not saying it's going to work out exactly like this, but you have to, no one can deny the fractal nature of this entire correction compared to this. And if we're going to go into the overbought area, well, this will then coincide with this. Then we're going to get a movement down. Then we've got one last movement up, doing a final bull trap, and then we're going to get the move down here. So in terms of the price equivalent, this second low could be equivalent to, I don't know, well, I mean, we can work it out, I suppose. Let's just, how much was it from this low to this low? It was 76%, so let's do 76% from here. Should be about 5,000 or so, I reckon. Maybe not. Yeah, 4,500 or so, which would make sense because the next fib is at 4,200. So the next fib is at 4,200, and the next fib is basically this longer term fib. Let me put it on magnet mode. Yeah, I'm not doing this exactly, but yeah, but you get the point. It's at 4,300 or 4,200 or so. So that's interesting, and that coincides with, you know, this sort of high here, this peak here. So somewhere between 4,500 or so is where this equivalent move is. So what I'm trying to say is it might go up towards 11,641, then fall down like here to 4,300 something, then move back up again towards, I don't know, might test 5,900 or so, and then it will move down towards 3,000. So if it's anything like it was back in 2014, that's what I'm trying to get at. Okay, so let me just draw that out. So if it's anything like it was back then, it's gonna go down in the short term, go back up, go back down to what did we say, 4,300 something, then go back up, and then eventually end here. The end goal at the end of the day is 3,000, or it's 2,500 as I worked out a long time ago. So I just want to put the whole thing into perspective for you guys. Obviously, the altcoins are moving, but it's a trader's market right now. What you're doing is trading against the trend. So you've got to be very, very careful with how you trade the altcoins. You know, just be very careful, use very tight stops. Potentially, you know, it's a bit risky, but if you want the best execution and not want to waste time sending money from your wallets to the exchange, keep some money on the exchanges. Obviously, that carries a bit of risk for obvious reasons from security perspective. Not something that I would do, but if you want to trade these coins in and out, that's probably what a lot of people are doing, because you can straight away, when you know, when shit hits the fan, you can react to it. So but I'm not going to call a bull market yet at all. So I was hoping this would all be finished by now, but the last 6-7 weeks or so, maybe the last 4 to 6 weeks, they've been very slow in the movement. And you know, people can call it manipulation, you can call it what you like. If you get good at reading charts, you can predict drama well before it happens. So this is not a long-term investors market at this moment in time. A lot of those guys have already left the market anyway. All the people left in the market are the ones who have been holding Bitcoin for the last 12 months, 24 months. Anyone who's been in this game from September onwards, they've either got frustrated, they've lost money and they've left, or they've become day trading heroes overnight. But you got to be careful trading this stuff, because it is very volatile. And I trade, you know, a bit of oil as well, and oil is one of the most volatile, and even the GBP, so the pound yen, is a very volatile market. So, you know, for those of you who want a bit of volatility, move over to oil and forex, and then you'll understand volatility. But this rivals those two charts, and that is saying something, because volatility is a good thing, it creates opportunity, but too much volatility, if you don't know how to tame the beast, you will lose money. So and obviously for a long-term investor, they don't have the time to get involved in these gyrations down and up and down and up. All they want to know is, right, at what point is it going to go sideways, at what point is it going to start, you know, basing out, and at what point is it going to start making the move. So that's my overall thesis right now. It's not a long-term investors market. So if you're long-term investors, eventually the end goal is likely to be 3,000, as I've been saying since December the 7th, whenever I did that video. However, I can appreciate some of you guys are traders, and obviously we're going to have a lot of fun over summer trading this market in and out. But I wouldn't be trading with 100% of your portfolio. I would be very, very conservative with how much you risk, given the, you know, given the actual volatility and stuff. So maybe risk, I don't know, 5%, 10%, 15% of your portfolio. But just bear in mind, you are trading against the overall trend. And at the end of the day, 3,000 is going to happen. You know, if it's exactly the same like this, it's going to happen in January of next year. I can't see that happening. I can see probably September or so. And I'm sure there'll come a point where I'm just going to buy in regardless, but that'll be below 5,900. That'll be at this next drop here. After this short-term pump to 11,000 whatever, this next pump here, that's probably when I'll be trading for Bitcoin. But even then, I expect another move down. So, you know, daily RSIs are very important, weekly RSIs are very important, and just understand the market, okay? But fractals, I don't use them all the time, but it's very interesting. This is playing out almost exactly as 2014. So that's just a quick message to your long-term investors who are trying to figure out, can I move a big chunk of my net worth into this game? The answer is no. The answer is no. I don't feel the answer is yes. We've nowhere near had any sort of Wyckoff and accumulation. Anyway, I'll move on from that. So I won't go over that too many times, but that's the projection. Now, some of you might be asking, well, how did you get this 11 figure? Well, this retracement from here to here, this retracement was 38.2. So this short-term bull move against the overall bear market was 38.2. And the retracement from here to here, if you were to plot your fibs, it gets you in this level here. And that is previous resistance. So this is what I'm saying. This X wave might not be done. or it could just be, you know, a W, X, Y, X, Z, but it's likely this X wave will actually finish here, and this Y wave will be 3,000, okay? And then obviously with here, you're gonna have this, as we said. So let's just, you know, paint out the picture for you guys. So we said, what did we say? We said 4,200 something. Yep, I mean, I've got it here, haven't I? So yeah, so there you go. I've painted the picture for the next, you know, the next 6 months of your life, basically. So where are we here? September. So hopefully by September it will be done. Now, the other interesting thing is what the Dow Jones is doing. Now, the Dow Jones might make a new high. As I mentioned many times, there was no major intermediate wave 4 that I had seen. But in the end, Bitcoin is going to lead the market. Bitcoin's leading the Dow, right? Down. So what's probably going to happen is, I think short term, there'll be a bit of a dump. Probably with the contracts and stuff. And then, I'm not saying this is definitely going to happen, but it might break out of this line, but the upside will be limited to here. So, you know, long-term investors, they're not going to want to be trading this because it's just too risky. But shorter-term heroes, you know, they might want to trade this. But honestly, just keep your stops very tight. And, you know, I can't spend the whole day in front of the computer screen, so I don't trade this unless I see a very obvious opportunity. And even then, I'm apprehensive because I know the overall trend is down. The only trades to be taken in this kind of market is a short position. So for me, a good short is if it ever gets into this sort of area here. That would be a good short for me. So that would be the line where I short between 11,160, 11,45, because that will be a big crash, and that will then lead the Dow down. So, you know, bear markets is where you learn everything. As Ray Dalio says, as Jesse Livermore even said, the same thing happens again and again. All you have to do is learn how to recognize the patterns and understand that history repeats itself. Not just in the financial markets, but in terms of war cycles, in terms of the economy. There's always going to be a boom and a bust, okay? It could be the tulip bubble, the oil bubble, the gold bubble back in the 1800s. You know, it could be the tech boom. This is just the way bear markets move. So I'm just trying to paint out the full picture for you guys. So hopefully that makes some sort of sense. You know, people obviously want my thoughts, and that's fine. But I know there's a lot of long-term investors out there, and I'm a long-term investor. I believe in this blockchain technology. So for me, it's purely trading positions, and something this volatile. My overall technique is, one, never leverage more than 5 times ever, unless you're very experienced. Number 2, never trade more than 2 to 5% of your overall portfolio on any one trade. And number 3, when it's volatile, I usually actually reduce my positions by half, and I reduce the time spent in that position by half. When it starts to bottom out here properly, and then starts to go sideways and then move up, that's when we can then call it, right, okay, we've got the full bull market here. And that's when all of the major Wall Street firms are going to come in. I'm not saying Wall Street's not messing around with it, but right now you've got, you know, the Newcastle United of Wall Street coming in, right? You've not got the big players yet. You've not got the Real Madrid and the Barcelonas. The big guys, by the big guys I mean JP Morgan, they don't have time for little kiddies games, right? They're waiting to short Wall Street and to sell all their tech stocks. They don't have time to be prattling about with little kids trading this crap on bittrex. They're waiting here. The big massive firms, JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, they're all waiting here. The firms who are on Wall Street right now trading this and manipulating it with these short squeezes and stuff, they're just like, you know, Newcastle United or Burnley or something. No offense to anyone who's a fan of those two clubs, but they're not big Wall Street firm. The big boys are what I'm waiting for. The big JP Morgan, who bought at 3,000, they're going to be buying back again because they're going to support their level here. They don't give a shit about this. So, and this is when the big long-term investors, the big bulk of money is coming in. But unfortunately, you're looking at September now. September, October time for this to sort of turn over. And this, by the way, will then kick off the new bull market in the Dow, because at this time the Dow will be 20,000. And then we're going to see Bitcoin move up, and then the Dow is going to follow it. So likely the Dow and Facebook and all those Amazon stocks and stuff, they will have crashed by here. So it'll be a good time to load back in. And then we're going to get this move up in the Dow towards 40,000, and then a lot of drama is going to happen. So in essence, if I were to break it down into thirds, so, you know, that's 19 weeks, that's 19 weeks, that's 19 weeks. Overall, took 58 weeks. I'm not saying it's going to take this long, but we're essentially about a third or probably 40% off the way in, if I were to break it into thirds. So that's my price projection. But as I said, given the volatility, there is money to be made here, but you just got to be very, very careful because you're trading against the trend. So never leverage more than 5 times. Never, when the volatility doubles or you're in a volatile market, you lower the positions in terms of time that you hold them by half, and you lower your position size by half, and you never allocate more than 2 to 5% of your overall portfolio. So if it's a 10k portfolio, including the leverage, it should never be more than £500. So that £500 per trade includes the leverage, if you're going to go on to BitMEX and whatnot. So that's my count for Bitcoin. That's probably what's going to happen. It makes a lot of sense to me. And as I said, the firms on Wall Street who are messing around, so people who talk about Wall Street, I'm talking about the big 4 banks, okay? Which is, you know, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, Citi, and Morgan. I don't care about the shitty banks, like I don't even know any shitty ones, to be honest. I only care about what the real big boys are doing. You'd be surprised, even in this game of whales and sharks, there are bigger sharks, and there are big sharks and there are small tiny sharks, because it's not actually the 1% who own the world at all. It's the 0.1%, i.e. it's the 1% of the 1%. That's how messed up the society is. So get out of your head that it's the 1% who own the world. It's actually not. It's the 0.1%. So please don't forget that. So if you guys want to be wealthy or whatever, you want to think like the 0.1%. But obviously the smaller sharks can still take out the fish. So that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing a good short opportunity over the next 4 to 6 weeks or so at this 11,100, 11,400 figure. That's a very good short, because that'll just be a straight dump down to 4,200, and then after which point the Dow will then follow as well. So that could mark the top in the Dow as well. So expect a lot of drama over summer. But as I said, this could get dragged out now until late summer. So I hope that makes sense. Hope that video was useful. And obviously on the weekly RSI, you know, we've gone over this, but so you see here, if I were to split it up into thirds and stuff, so we've kind of had the first third. Now we're going to, you know, make a move up, and then eventually we're going to end up at 30 RSI. So long-term investors, they're waiting for this because they don't have the patience or the time to get involved in these silly little games. They're going to buy when the big 4 banks buy, and the big 4 banks will buy because JP Morgan own half these damn patents as of 1999. So they've got a lot of vested interest in this market, but unfortunately it's a bear market, so there's nothing you can do about that. And this is the 2001 crash, the tech bubble high. So as you can see, even within these bear markets, you can get these retracements, but you have to remember you're trading against the trend here, here, here. So and these are significant moves. I'm not saying that you can't trade this, but you have to understand you're trading against the trend. So this move here wasn't a bad move at all. I mean, you would have made 52% on that move. You would have made 44% on that move. You would have made, there was another one here, 55%. So there's no doubt any trader who's good at what he does can trade these pumps, but at the end of the day, the overall trend is down. And you know, that was when the long-term investors got in. around here, and they then rode it all up before the '08 crash. So for traders, it's a trading market, but you know, we saw how long this took from top to bottom. Bear markets are designed to frustrate, and they're designed to stress you out and to take your money. Okay, so it's just, first we shake them out, then we tire them out, and you can use that in whichever order that you like. I'm not saying it's going to last 931 days. I'm just putting it into some perspective for you that this is how bear markets move. They have these move down, move up, down, up, down, up, down, up, and you know, there is money to be made on the upside, but you got to be very careful because the overall trend is down. So I hope that makes a lot of sense to you guys who are trying to figure out where we are. So and this is why, you know, am I bullish, am I bearish? Well, it depends what time frame you're looking at. So very short term I'm bearish. By short term I mean less than a week, because I'm expecting a move down to 7,000 or something, I don't know. Then I suppose medium term, there is a potential we could break this log line and move to 11,000. So I suppose medium term I'm bullish, and then I suppose medium to intermediate term, medium to long term, well then I'm bearish again. So I'm short term bearish, intermediate bullish, and then medium to long term bearish. So that's just the way it is. It's just not an investor's market, so you just got to be very careful and recognize the limitations. I mean, obviously the altcoins are doing really well, so there is money to be made there, but just I don't think going all in at any point, even if you're trading this, is ever going to be a good strategy. And have a quick exit plan, because at any time in a bear market things could just roll over. And this is purely if it's analogous to 2014. These targets have been completely derived to a large extent from what happened here. I'm not saying it's going to mirror exactly like it did here, but there's no doubt it looks quite the same, doesn't it? Let's be honest, it all looks quite similar. I mean, let me just take off all this mess so you guys can just see it for one last time. So, you know, these guys on Twitter, like Sven, Link and stuff, he's right. And I'm right. And I have been right since the 7th of December. And if it does go to 3,000, which it likely will, you'll owe me a lot of KFCs. Nice kosher KFCs. Okay, so hopefully that will make some sort of sense now. So that's kind of what we're doing. We're doing this. We're kind of here now, making this move up, then move down towards 4,200 something, then move up. This will then coincide with this X wave, and then we'll move down. So WX YXZ, or WX WXYY, whatever, but technically then I suppose it's a WXYXZ, of which we've had the W they're going to finish off the X. This X would then constitute a regular flat, so it makes a lot of sense for it to find resistance. So as far as I'm concerned, a very good short will be at this level here, 11.3. So I'll leave it at that. Okay, and yeah, I think I'll leave it at that. So that's my overall thesis, and I'll catch you guys soon. And yeah, check out that video, Undisputed Crypto. Hopefully they'll get me on their channel and then we can discuss things. It'd be good to team up with other YouTubers who know what they're talking about, and it's good to mix fundamentals and technicals. So anyway, I'll leave it at that, and I'll chat to you guys soon.